55 down low, 2.515 through the middle.
Scotty, we just talked about it on a nitrous entry that ran before. Really, really good speed out of Marcus right there, 206. The back split matches up really nice. So good lap out the back in these conditions for Marcus. Like you said, going 251 to the split and still going 371 out the back.
And Chuck Walsh was 976 down low, 256.3 through the middle, and a 378.1 at 203. Randy Weatherford comes up next, left side of the racetrack, the WS Construction Pro Boost entry. And Jim Halsey here on the right-hand side, the Fulton-powered Camaro for Cecil County Dragway. Halsey's made a few laps down this racetrack as well. Brandon Schweitzer making sure Jim Halsey gets where he wants him to go. Steve Petty doing the tuning over on the left-hand side of the racetrack for Randy Weatherford. So a little nitrous on boost crime here.
Jim Halsey, wheels in the air, 364, 209 miles per hour for Jim Halsey, 367 for Randy Weatherford. But look at Jim Halsey. The points leader comes in and has flexed some muscles here on Thursday afternoon. 938 down low, 247 to the split, 364 at 209 miles per hour.
And you keep harping on the mile an hour. There it is, 209. That's a big mile an hour here.
That is a prime time lap right here on Thursday night to close out testing for the Halsey camp. The points leader is flexing his muscles here on Thursday night.
Cam Clark next up here on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the Musey-powered Mark Engel-owned Camaro. And Brian Weddle, left side, the Pro Street entry. Brian came onto the scene and has been pretty strong in that machine left side. Was unable to make the call up in Norwalk, so he settled for a runner-up position, but a real good feeling we're going to see that Camaro in the winner's circle before the end of the year. If these cars going to make the trip, a little smoke down on the top end out of Weddle's machine. He'll stop the clocks at a 4:13.9 at 190. 378.9 at 199 for Cam Clark. Tommy Franklin next up here on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the Musi-powered Franklin electric machine. And Steve King left side of the racetrack for Pilot King, the Savage Corvette. At Resolution Racing Services, G-Force built machine. Pro Extreme Motorcycles, we need you to staging lane number 6. Pro Extreme Motorcycles, your final round of testing to staging lane number 6. So Judy walks away from the car.
Scotty, if you're Tommy right now, what are you thinking?
I was going to ask you the same question. Do you load it up and try to top Halsey, or do you just go out there and stick to your guns and your program?
The only change they could make at this point in the run's bottle pressure, and I really don't know if they made a change right here. Tommy Franklin, Steve King, your next two. King, abort commission, Franklin out and gone, 367, 204. 941 download, 247 to the split, 367, 8. 204 miles per hour for Tommy Franklin. It wasn't the Jim Halsey run, but it was pretty stout early in the run. Just doesn't have the back split with Halsey. That thing's Halsey's car's a rocket out the back half, and that shows it right there. Franklin 367, 8, respectable run right there to close out Thursday testing as they get ready to go for qualifying tomorrow.
Once again, we need all the golf carts out of the staging lanes. All the golf carts, we need them out of the staging lanes. Tommy Morrow, Pro Street Machine, left side of the racetrack, and Jeff Rudolph here in the Ghetto Sleigh. And Tyler, you touched on it earlier, sorry. Rudolph's had a stellar run, some runs here in testing.
He has. I'm going to just go on and say it. It's because of the man standing behind the car right now on the headset. Brandon Stroud has had a handle on every car that he's touched this weekend, whether it was right off the lift gate or if it was during the middle of the day. Brandon has made some really, really big swings in the tune-up game that you kind of go, ooh, I didn't expect that lap in the middle of the day. But he has landed a lot of darts that he's thrown so far today, and I'm sure he's liable to do another one right here.
Yeah, definitely one of the top tuners in the game, and he's helped quite a few programs out, as you mentioned. Get them going in the right direction and laying down some low numbers.
Most definitely. If I remember correctly, Brandon's on this weekend. I think Brandon's on Rudolph's cards you see on the starting line now, Jason Harris, your past world champion, and Johnny Camp as well. So didn't get the efforts that he wanted out of Camps on the first run of this session, but I can promise you he's made the correct changes on Rudolph's right here.
I was going to say, speaking on that, would he run back and change Rudolph's car, do you think? Or
for sure. He can make quick changes in that thing in the staging lanes. So I'm sure he made a small adjustment. He had enough time to be able to make an adjustment, as in either tire pressure or a tune-up. Sits alongside Tommy Morrow on the turbo car. See what happens. 917 down low, smooth as glass. 364, 205 miles per hour for Jeff Rudolph. Brandon Stroud makes the changes that we spoke on. Gets that hot rod down through there. Tommy Morrow, 415 at a $1.99. I do believe that's his best run of the weekend so far. So good test day for both cars as they are ready to go for qualifying tomorrow.
And that'll bring up Derek Ford and Dane Wood. The family operation here on the right-hand side for the Wood team out of Purvis Ford. Billy Albert Race Engines, BHM Drag Racing, and Donnie and Julie Wilson. And Derek Ford, left side. Derek came out to run with us when we stopped at Virginia on the tour, and he made a little bit of noise while he was there.
Scotty, like we've talked about with Derek Ford, you know, it's the smallest engine in the class. Derek took the I'm going to take a weight break route. Went with a 903, and that combination gets to come in at a lighter weight. You know, when the conditions are prime time for making horsepower, I really don't know if that's the combination you want. But in races like this, where it's going to be hot, it's going to be greasy in the middle of the day, a lighter car is a lot easier to go down a hot racetrack. So that's definitely one you do not want in round one when the sun's out, when it comes time for Saturday eliminations. Dane Wood, right-hand side of the racetrack, the Ford Mustang. Purvis Ford, backed hot rod. So see what Dane and the crew can lay down in Chesapeake, Virginia running. Ford can't make the trip. Dane Wood, 380, 194 miles per hour. Like we were talking about, the lightweight car is sometimes good and sometimes it's not. I expected it to make the trip right there, but I can guarantee you they were trying to turn some stuff on in the middle of the racetrack. So they will go back, review the data, and like we've talked about, it's all getting ready for qualifying. It starts tomorrow for the pros right at 2 o'clock.
And you talked about the cube against the 903, 974. A lot of guys are running that, but the 903 is not lacking when it comes to performance. A 367 he ran at Virginia. So very capable of putting the number down, and as you spoke on, here on a hot racetrack. So here comes Chris Reedy on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the ATI Performance Products Camaro out of Hickory, North Carolina. And Marcus Burt, Tommy Yeoman's own Chevrolet Camaro on the left-hand side. So Marcus Burt, left-hand side of the racetrack. And Tommy brought that machine out to Virginia Motorsports Park on stop number 2 of the PDRA Tour in DNQ. Extremely fast and tight field there. They did not make the program. Came to Norwalk and ended up getting runner-up. So definitely getting it figured out on the left-hand side. Chris Reedy, always a player when it comes to pro nitrous.
Like you said, Scotty, Marcus Burt, that team came in, and you know, we've all known Marcus as a very, very good driver, and it was kind of a surprise. And then he comes back and goes to the finals at Norwalk, and that was not. So both drivers out and gone. Burt wheeling at 367, 204 for Lee White. Tommy Yeoman's in the game. 371, Chris Reedy, 202 miles per hour for the ATI Performance Pro Nitrous entry. Marcus Burt, 367 for Lee White, has pecked at that thing all day long. Tim Davis, Grant, Tommy Yeoman's in the game. Lay down a good lap to end the day. 9:21 down low for Marcus Burt.
Gonna have a single pass this time, Tyler. Scott Lang backs up the AML Motorsports Camaro. And Scott's had a little bit of a rough go out of it after his inaugural season with us last year, where he went back-to-back trips to the Fuel Tech Winter Circle. Has had 2, I believe, DNQs this season.
He has, and that's not what you're used to seeing out of this team for sure. And I will say, I think they made some changes coming out of Virginia, going to Norwalk, thinking, okay, hey, we're going to get a handle on this thing. And I don't think the changes went the way that they wanted them to go. So we are seeing a rejuvenated Scott Lang here this weekend, and looks like he is well on his way to getting back into race-winning form. Note on Scott Lang, he is last season's #1 qualifier here at Maryland. So good data in that car. You just saw Lee White tuning Marcus Burke to a 367. I would say that Lee's probably got something close to the same in this hot rod right here.
Lang on a good pass right here to the top end. 370 at 202 was 937 down low, but it looked like maybe flattened out a little bit.
It did, Scotty. That's kind of the fun part of a single. It's not fun whenever it does that, but you could hear it out in the middle of the racetrack. It's like it pulled the motor down between 60 and 330 and just really didn't have that acceleration that Marcus's car just had on the other side of the racetrack. So he was 2 numbers slower to the middle, and then you see that parlays out to the back to be a 370 instead of probably a 368 that they were looking for right there. So still makes the trip, still lights the lamp and has the parachutes out, but at the same time, it's not what they wanted at the end of the day.
Wild Bill Devine, the Bullseye Power Ford Mustang Pro Street Machine here on the right side of the racetrack. And Bubba Green, the South Carolina-based Chevrolet Corvette tuned by Scotty Cannon. 15-minute call on the fuel station if you're looking to get fuel this afternoon. 15 minutes, and they're going to close down for the night. Little crews walk away from the machines as they start to light the top balls. Bubba Green, 372 at 201. Issues there for Wild Bill here on the right side.
Wild Bill's had a wild kind of day. Just has not really gone his way, but best lap of the day, like we said, for Bubba Green right there. 372, Scotty and them making a smooth lap. Pro Extreme Motorcycle, if you're not in lane number 6, we need you. Pro Extreme Motorcycle, if you're not in lane number 6, we need you now, please. Extreme Pro Stock and Pro 632 will take you to lanes 1 and 2. Extreme Pro Stock and Pro 632 will take you to the lanes 1 and 2 for T4.
Freddie's driving left side of the racetrack. And that Robert Hayes built beautiful Camaro. Freddie currently your number 2 man in the point standings. In Schweitzer Dynamics Pro Nitrous, and Ed Burnley behind the wheel of his Iron Man Camaro. You see Tony Wilson standing out behind the car. He was piloting it earlier this afternoon, shaking it down for him. Ed gets behind the wheel now. I'm not certain of this, but I think this will be his first time with this new combination and him driving. So, see how this pans out for Ed. Scriba's already seen the guys around him in the point standings running the 360 zone, so see if he decides to push his equipment down into the 60s or if he'll stay in the 70s. All right, looks like there may have been fluid coming out of Ed Burnley's machine as he got really close to Freddie Scriba there, just down by the scoreboard. Scriba's going to stop the clocks though with 371 at 203. Burnley goes at 374 at 202. So PDRA officials will go out on the racing surface and check things out. All right, it does look like we'll have to put a little bit of a flat drag out there on the right-hand side. Looking for Extreme Pro Stock and Pro 632 for your final round of testing. Station lanes 1 and 2, please. Final call for Pro Stock and 632 to staging lanes 1 and 2, please. Final call for Pro Stock and 632 to staging lanes 1 and 2, please. All right, racetrack good to go. The next two fired up and completing the burnout process. Jason Harris, the Southern Diamond Company Party Time Camaro here on the right-hand side out of Pittsboro, North Carolina. And Billy Albert, left-hand side out of Whitville, the Aschenbach Chevrolet Stan Nance owned structural mechanical Camaro.
So like Scotty said, you've got Billy Albert, left-hand side of the racetrack, and the world champ, Jason Harris. Brought to you by Straw Hat Bob. Really kind of jealous of Bob's hat, actually. Everybody kind of mistakes it sometimes as smack talk, but I really could rep a straw hat this weekend. Sun's going to be awfully bright. It's protection mode. Bob steps away. Even has the headset on underneath the straw hat. That's talented. I like that. Billy Albert, Jason Harris, your next two-to-do battle here on Thursday night. Harris out and gone, 363, 206 miles per hour for straw hat power on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Jason Harris, 918 down low, 243 to the split. 363, 206. And Billy Albert, 371 at 203. Good lap for that team as well. Ricky Smith on the laptop over there for Billy Albert this weekend. 946 down low, 249 to the split for the Austin Bach Chevrolet-sponsored Chevrolet Camaro. Travis Harvey and Derek Ward, two more.
So Derek Ward here on the right-hand side. Your number 3 man in the point standing. And Travis Harvey, left-hand side, the Carolina kid. Travis all the way back in the number 10 spot in the point standing. Side by side they go. 363 with a 1 for Derek Ward at 208. Harvey 368.8 at 205.
Look at the middle split difference between those two cars. Derek Ward had 3.5 numbers to the 330 mark. 244.5 for Derek Ward, 248.2 for Travis Harvey. Derek Ward, John Salemi and team making a lap. 363, 208 to close out Thursday.
All right, looks like maybe some issues out there for Joe Thomas.
Scotty, this is one of those moments where you're glad we work in the tower and talk.
Yeah.
That's not a light car to push.
No, and that track's sticky, so it's not wanting to move.
Yeah, it's got just a touch of friction on it. So it looks like it will be a single for Purple Rain. Miss Melanie Salemi back with a Firebird. We'll see how the hometown team of John and Jim Salemi can put down a program for Miss Melanie. Melanie has struggled today in testing, make no bones about it. That team is one of the best in the class, but they have struggled mightily today.
Well, Derek Ward runs out of their Resolution Racing services, so clearly they can make a car go down the racetrack. But they're definitely having some, you know, they might be part of the new car blues a little bit with Melanie's machine.
I was about to say they probably don't have 15 total runs on this thing since it got back, or since it debuted last time out at Norwalk. But yeah, man, it's been a surprising day for Melanie Salemi from our seat. But I would not surprise me to see them all turn it around in one shot down the racetrack right here. On cue, Melanie Salemi 364 at 205, but hurt one in the process. 921 down low, 244 to the split. Goes 119.8 out the back half, but it was unhappy on the left side of that engine. 364.3 at a slowing 205 miles per hour, as that team will have some work to do overnight to be ready to go for round number 1 of qualifying at 2 p.m. tomorrow here at Maryland International Raceway.
But, you know, Tyler, we watch guys like Halsey come out and never really make a full pull in the first 3 attempts and then come out and just blaze down the scoreboards. So you kind of wonder, and it's not really a question. These guys are out there trying things. They're wanting to keep a step ahead of the competition, and then they come out and maybe use the time run, the 4th time run, as to say, hey, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, for sure. And like you spoke on, that could have been some new car blues for Melanie earlier in the day. She fought tire shake, I think, the first 3 of the runs down the racetrack. And, you know, really right there, you're just trying to make the lap. As much as you want to go out there and lay one down, and not saying 364 is not laying one down. But at the same process, you know that you've got to get something down the racetrack to have some sort of confidence going into tomorrow.
And maybe on the first 3 attempts, you try a different, shock situation or something. And then you go back to what you know for T4 to make sure that you can go A to B, like you spoke on.
And like we've all spoke on a Thursday here at PDRA, it is testing. For these teams right here, it's testing, and testing is called learning new things. Most of the time, it's called learning what not to do. But as you can see right there, Melanie Salemi, 364.3, 205 miles per hour down on speed. And the good news is we have no fluid on the racetrack to report, so we are back going racing with 2 more. Looks like 2 pro street cars. I think this is Chris Tootin and Mauro Carenzi. Be your next 2 to do battle.
Yeah, and Chris Tootin, what an event he had at Norwalk. We haven't seen that team perform at that level ever here in the PDRA, and they got everything together and put a race day run together, and I think he bowed out in the semifinals.
Believe that's right. It was either second round or semis, but they had some really good impressive laps and really just came up on the wrong side of a wind light. Didn't make bad laps at all. But one team that's made a lot of progress since Norwalk that we've been following kind of on their social media team is Mauro, right here on the right-hand side from Canada. Pandy's Performance is now on board this team, and they have made some really, really, really good laps in Canada. I think he actually picked up a win at Milan Dragway as well up in Michigan. And Pandy's Performance has really turned this thing around in a short order, let's be honest. And, PDRA Tour, you're racing once a month pretty much on the calendar. And, from earlier in the year, they were really fighting some issues. And even Norwalk, we were starting to see some progress out of that team, but still not exactly where we expect that car to be. And then all of a sudden it comes out at a couple of races in Canada and in Michigan, and wow, this thing has looked completely different. And Pandy's has got a good handle on it. We'll see what they can lay down right here. Like we said, this is, other than the run this morning, this is probably the best conditions you'll see, because tomorrow looks to be a pretty warm day atmospherically, and then Saturday you go into race mode. You don't do anything, try not to do anything dumb, let's be honest.
Man, it looked like Tootin was on a good run there, but had to get out of the throttle. On the right-hand side, though, 427 at 180. All right, so we'll make sure the machine of Chris Tootin gets off on the top end, and then we'll fire our next pair. Jay Santos here on the right-hand side. We were just talking about those Pro Street machines. The winner of our last event on tour, left-hand side of the racetrack. That's Ethan Stedding, the P2 Chine Drive Camaro for the 17-year-old. Pro Street versus Pro Boost. Steading on the left side, Santos here on the right. Ethan's out of the gas left side. Santos 370 at 204 was 953 down low. 2.501 through the middle. Bill Riddle, your defending world champion in Mr. Motorsports Pro Street, backs up here on the right-hand side. And King Tut, Todd Tutterow, the quick fuel Camaro on the left-hand side. He is your current points leader. WS Construction Pro Boost has 2 wins and a DNQ on the season so far. Came up and made a huge lap here earlier in the heat of the day. Todd Tutterow, 361.5 at 208. Dan Norris, left side of the racetrack, that beautiful Ford Mustang. And Ty Casper here on the right-hand side, his turbocharged Ford Mustang for Victus. And Casper Performance Edge.
So, Scotty, I stepped out for a second. I guess y'all burned down the scoreboard on the left-hand side of the racetrack.
Yeah, Todd Tutterow got it done in that 361.
My goodness, that's a lap. As you pull up as I pull up the PDRA slips app because I missed it. Tutterow was 9:09 to 60 foot, 2:42 to the split. It's the best numbers we've seen early in the run. Oh yeah, by the way, Bill Riddle went 4:19. Pretty respectable lap there in Pro Street here in these conditions. But wow, Todd Totoro stealing the thunder, going low elapsed time for the day. So Dan Norris, Ty Casper, 2 more Pro Street cars. Going to just about round out the program, but I think Norris just got shut off.
Well, they're definitely pulling him back to check underneath the car. Now they're shutting him off. So, yeah, he'll be done for this attempt. So Ty Casper will be on a single run here on the right side of the racetrack. For 181 miles an hour for Ty Casper. Now we've got a couple of Drag 965 Pro Nitrous Motors, or Pro Extreme motorcycles testing.
.423 for Eric McKinney, your winner from Galot earlier in the year. I think we got Ashley Owens be your next car up. Or bike, my bad.
Ashley Owens up next here on the right-hand side, the Napa Auto Parts lane. Chris Powers here on the right-hand side. Sonny's Racing Engines, Chevrolet Camaro. Chevy Floyd, left-hand side of the racetrack. The Billy Albert powered Camaro. In the pit area. And this pair is going to go. Chevy Floyd, 419 at 167. 414.4 for Chris Powers at 174. So Chevy lays down low ET of 632. In the pit area, Magnafuel Top Sportsman. Magnafuel Top Sportsman for Q1. We need you to staging lanes 1 and 2, please. Magnafuel Top Sportsman cars. For Q1, we need you to staging lanes 1 and 2, please. Walter Lanigan, left side of the racetrack, the most recent winner on tour in the Pro 632 category. And Jeremy Huffman here on the right-hand side out of Catawba, North Carolina. The 3V Performance Extreme Pro Stock machine. .420 with the 7, a 168 for Lanigan. Jeremy Huffman, 408 with a 3 at 176. Pair of 632 machines pulling through the water box. Doug Nickel here on the right-hand side of the racetrack. The Pat Busey powered Chevrolet Camaro. And Jamie Thompson, the Rodzilla machine on the left-hand side. Magnafuel Top Sportsman cars. We need you for Q1 to staging lanes 1 and 2, please. Magnafuel Top Sportsman. Presented by Par Racing Engines and Corbin's RV. We need you to the staging lanes at this time, please. Next up, 422 at 168. 423 at 166 here on the right-hand side for Doug Nickel. Kyle Salmonen here on the right-hand side. Pro 632 machine. Magnafuel Top Sportsman, we need you for Q1. Magnafuel Top Sportsman cars, we need you for Q1. To the staging lanes at this time, please. .419 with a 9 at 168 miles an hour for Kyle. Two more Pro 632 machines pulling through the water box. Jason Ventura here on the right-hand side of the racetrack. 70 Camaro and George Coleman, 63 split window Corvette. Issues right out of the gate for the Corvette. Top into the racetrack. Ventura goes a 420 with an 8 at 166 miles per hour. Magnafuel Top Sportsman, we are looking for you for Q1. Magnafuel Top Sportsman, we need you. So we'll be just a moment while we get the Corvette pushed off the racing surface. Defending world champion Jeff Melnick on the left-hand side, the Greenbrier Chevrolet Camaro. And Bobby Blayton here on the right-hand side, the Chevy 2. Melnick with a 422 at 166 miles per hour. 431 at 161 for Bobby Blayton. That's the best Melnick has looked all season.
That's a real good lap right there out of Melnick for sure. Bobby Blayton, after fighting tire shake 3 runs in a row, takes her right on down Broadway. 431, a buck 61, down on speed in comparison to Melnick's 166. But good lap right there for both cars.
Andy House, left-hand side of the racetrack, the Southern Diamond Company Camaro. I believe he is the last car in the category. And we'll make the jump into Super Street. .421 with a 9 at 166 for Andy House. Looks like it's going to be a good weekend of 632 competition here at Maryland International. And our first pair of AFCO Racing Super Street machines presented by Mincer Motorsports pull through the water box. Derek Moda, right-hand side. The East Point Mustang and Gage Lamas on the left-hand side. these drivers getting a hold of the racing surface. 472 for Derek Moda at 160 miles an hour. 474, 158 for Gage Lamas. Tommy Thrasher, the Ford Mustang, here on the right-hand side of the racetrack, and Matt Shallow, the Camaro out of Virginia Beach, on the left-hand side. .481, 157 for Tommy. .487 at 152 for Matt Shallow. Fran Schatz here on the right-hand side, the Corvette for Frankenstein Engine Dynamics, Pro Charger, RPM Transmissions, and Brad McBride, the Volkswagen, on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Good lap, 482 at 144 miles per hour. Fran Schatz goes at 486 at 151. 112. 60-foot time for the Volkswagen. Connor McGee, the Fulton-powered Mustang, here on the right-hand side. McGee, 470 with a 3 at 152 miles an hour. We'll do a quick sprucing up of the racing surface. We're going to bring out our MagnaFuel Top Sportsman cars, presented by Par Racing Engines and Corbin's RV. With that said, if you're a MagnaFuel Top Sportsman driver and you're not in the staging lanes, you're late. Get your machine to the lanes for Q1, please. All right, Tyler, engines come to life, and we're ready for Q1 for Magna Fuel Top Sportsman, presented by Par Racing Engines and Corbin's RV.
Scotty, like you said, we've got Top Sportsman coming out. Some of the quickest bracket racers on planet Earth. Stage them up here in the PDRA. Got two pretty quick ones coming straight out. Brian Weiss, Tommy Brown.
Yeah, Tommy Brown here on the right-hand side of the racetrack. The Brown Line Construction 2012 Camaro. And Brian Weiss, part of Team Wise Guys, out of Ashland, Virginia. The 67 Chevy 2. Disregard the red light. We're just qualifying him here. Tommy Brown's going to go 391.1 at 189 miles an hour. 452 for Brian Wise on the left-hand side.
Next to Pete Esposito. Left-hand side of the racetrack in the 55 Chevrolet. Sits alongside number 7 in championship point standings, Mr. Roger Crenshaw.
Yeah, the Abilene Express 89 Cutlass for buildrwc.com. Backs up here on the right side. And Tyler, something about a shoebox. They're just some cool-looking race cars.
Something about a shoebox that also purges the nitrous. It's pretty cool. The 59-year-old auto mechanic out of New York comes down, making his first stop on tour here at the PDRA this season. Sits alongside the 89 model Cutlass. A couple of old school looking hot rods. Gonna stage them up here in round number 1 of qualifying in Top Sportsman. Esposito out of New York. Crenshaw out of Virginia. Tree fires out and gone. Crenshaw 003 on the red side. Stops the clock's 4:25. Check out the shoebox, 461 at 153 miles per hour. Defying the logics of aerodynamics and weight, because I can promise you it is not easy pushing a flying brick through the wind.
Travis Butler, right-hand side of the racetrack out of Pocosin, Virginia. The Peninsula Automotive 53 Corvette. And Cheyenne Stanley, left-hand side out of Cynthiana, Kentucky. The Parker Paving 07 Mustang for Abruzzi Trans.
Scotty, we saw Travis down at Virginia last weekend running with Southern Outlaw Top Sportsman Bunch. I think he was actually #1 qualifier with that group. The interesting part of Cheyenne Stanley's car, and I know we talk about it a lot of times, but you see this car, and it leaves the starting line usually not as hard as some of the others, but that thing is motivating out the back end of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's definitely steamrolling the finish line. Big mile an hour and out of that Mustang over there.
For sure. Tree fires, both drivers, a little bit tardy. Cheyenne Stanley, big time horsepower, moving to the top end, 392, 198 miles per hour for the Parker Incorporated Ford Mustang to now sit number 2 on the qualifying sheet right behind Tommy Brown.
Dwayne Gallagher and Jeff Simmons up next. Gallagher on the left-hand side out of Cedarville, Ohio. The Deer Run Investment 68 Camaro with the Charlie Buck horsepower, 728 cubic inches underneath the hood scoop. And Jeff Simmons here on the right-hand side. The Simmons Construction 69 Camaro for Stinger Race Fuel, Textera Fabrications, and John's Racecraft. Simmons, an elite player here on the right side of the racetrack.
If you are hungry or thirsty, you have 15 minutes to grab it at the diner. After 15 minutes, you're late. And you're still hungry and thirsty. That is a problem, Scotty. So if you are hungry or thirsty, you've got 15 minutes to make it over to the diner.
Especially for us big fellas.
Or us skinny fellas, man. You got to think, there is no reserve in this kind of body. Gallagher and Simons, please stage fast because the announcers are already starting to ramble and we've only like 4 pair in.
Simmons pedaled a little bit there on the right side. Still going to go a 401 at 182 miles an hour. 418.7 for Dwayne, 172.
Simons' car is always like angry for the first 150 feet. If it makes it through that part of the racetrack, it is usually blazing fast. Like you saw right there, even with a pedal, still goes 401.
So past world champion backing up here on the right-hand side. That's Stacy Hall out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. The Fulton-powered 63 Corvette for Maxima Oils and TM Race Cars. And runner-up at our last event up in Norwalk, Mark Reese, the 2000 Mustang out of North Dinwiddie, Virginia.
That's my neighbor. Like literally 3 doors down. Not the band or the song. So 2 good runners right here. Knock your socks out a pair on both sides of the racetrack. Ford versus Chevrolet matchup. Here in round number 1 of qualifying. Mark Reese left-hand side. Stacy Hall, the engine builder for Fulton Competition. His horsepower has been flexing some muscles so far today. That is for sure. Stacy going to stage up the 63 model. Split win the Corvette. So both drivers going to try to make a lap here in the low 4-second range.
A 9 to a 12 on reaction time. 4:16 that is for Mark Reese. Stacy Hall goes through right behind him at a 4:18 at 172.
If you have not been called to the lanes, please do not come to the lanes. That's why we have lane calls on a messaging system. When we are ready for you up here, we will call you. Top dragster, you have not been called to the lanes. If you are coming this way, turn around. We don't need you yet.
Pair of split windows lining up side by side. Mark Fleeg on the left-hand side out of Crestwood, Kentucky, the Knight School of Welding. And Jacob Elrod here on the right-hand side out of Bluffton, Ohio.
Elrod swapped this thing over to a Pro Charger combination over the winter. Fought it a little bit at the first race, but has been pretty consistent the last couple of outings in this thing. Mark Fleeg out of Kentucky also running with us pretty much full season for the 63 Corvette on that side. A couple of split windows going to do battle here on Thursday night.
Issues for Mark. Jacob's going to make the full pull at a 4:17 with a 1 at 172 miles an hour. So that'll put Jacob number 5 currently. A whole slew of teens there throughout the middle of the qualified car so far.
All right, guys, listen up in the pits. Got 2 trucks that need to be moved. Once again, I got 2 trucks that need to be moved. So once again, listen up in the pits. If you drive a white Chevrolet Silverado with Georgia plates from Chatham County, RPS 0755, we need you to move your truck immediately. White Chevrolet Silverado, Georgia plates from Chatham County. Also a silver Dodge Ram, Maryland tags with a big Oakland Raiders sticker right on the hood. Don't really have to call a tag. You should know that one's yours. You are also in the way and we need your vehicles moved now.
Dave Muller here on the right-hand side out of Pennington, New Jersey. The Muller Automotive and Trailer 2000 Camaro for Gen Y Hitches. And Scotty Wise, the Wise Guys Corvette, left side of the racetrack out of Ashland, Virginia. Scotty Wise goes right to the number 1 spot, 388.5 at 191 miles per hour. Dave Muller, 441 with a 3, lands him in the number 11th qualifying position so far. It looks like maybe a little bit of fluid out of Scotty Wise's machine. It looks like the PDRA and MIR crews have the starting line back where they want it, and that's going to bring up Corey Evans. The blue Camaro left side, they call Daddy's Money, out of Middleton, Virginia. And Richard Payne, the Chevy 2 out of Waynesboro, Virginia, for the House of Payne Performance here on the right-hand side.
Evans having some trouble off the starting line, 433 at 173 miles per hour. Evans, you could hear him pedaling that thing down the racetrack, not happy for sure.
And that'll bring up Derek Barnes here on the right-hand side out of Drayton, Maryland. The Barnes Excavating 99 S10 for Peninsula Automotive, and Tim Papp, the Papp Auto Body 2016 Corvette for Nesbitt Performance Engines and Barker Max Tuning. Papp, your current points leader on the elite side of things. He was the #1 qualifier last stop in Norwalk, Ohio. So keep your eyes on the little red Corvette left side of the racetrack. See what he can go right here. Right now needs to go quicker than a 388.5 by Scotty Wise. Barnes here on the right-hand side. Tim Papp left side. They're all issues for Derek Barnes. But watch Tim Papp. 382.8 at 191 miles per hour. Put Tim Papp at the top of the board.
Papp's Corvette made a very nice, consistent lap down the racetrack. 382. We've seen him pretty much living in the 380 range all day long in testing. It's Papp to the top of the leaderboard. 382.8. Now the mark to beat here in Top Sportsman.
That'll bring up Stacy Johnson here on the right-hand side out of Stafford, Virginia. The Johnson Racing 68 Camaro. You won't find a cleaner car on the property, I promise. And Chad Traylor, your defending world champion, left-hand side of the racetrack in the Keith Cox 63 Corvette they call the Orange Crush. Defending world champion, left side of the racetrack. .425 with a 9 for Chad Traylor at 170 miles an hour. Stacy Johnson 459 with a 2. Mike Pender, right-hand side of the racetrack at Accokeek, Maryland, the 07 GTO. And Joe Robachek, left-hand side of the racetrack, the 68 Camaro. For Kane and Filter, Hoosier Tire, Sonny's Racing Engines.
Pender flicks it red. Joe Robachek, 432. Welcome back, Joe. Didn't make it to Norwalk. Had a little bit of an injury, but made it back out here this weekend here in Maryland. So good to see Joe back out. The 432 currently puts him at the number 13 spot, but we all know that that will not last in the elite field here at the PDRA. So Mike Pender, 509 for time.
J.P. Miller, left side of the racetrack out of Afton, Virginia, the Skull Crusher Beretta for Miller Performance, Redline Oil, NGK, J&R Promotions, Fast Brackets Podcast, and Winlight Bets. Seth Garrison here on the right-hand side out of Valdez, North Carolina, the All-Ray Tire Center's 06 Dodge Stratus. J.P. Miller, 454 with an 8, 481 for Seth Garrison. Gary Kent's left side of the racetrack out of Windham, Ohio, the Blue Dart 07 GTO for T&K Performance Transmission and Larry's Tent Shop. And Trey Garrison out of Shelby, North Carolina, the All-Ray Tire Center 70 Duster. Good looking machine here on the right side.
right lane. Not real happy going down the racetrack. 492 for Trey Garrison. Shooting ducks. Gary Kent's 426 at 170 miles per hour. Randy Perkinson, making it back to the PDRA. Here on the left-hand side of the racetrack, the brand I knew G-Force race car 67 model Mustang was a winner in his debut race at Galata earlier this year. Missed Norwalk. But still, if I remember correctly, is number 5 in the championship points in Elite Top Sportsman, even after missing a race. So Randy's still very, very in-depth for championship contentions. Dad Christie setting the wheelie bars on that hot rod. Expect the Mustang to go somewhere in the mid 380 range, if not a touch quicker, here in round number 1 of qualifying.
All right, not on file here on the right. Not on file here on the right-hand side, but a beautiful Chevrolet Camaro. 3 fires in there all.
Randy Perkinson out and gone. 388, 191 miles per hour, not on file. 440, 162 miles per hour. Our rear computer operator slacking on the job. We've had 1 not on file so far. So 1 is not perfection. Scotty, we need to do better.
I agree, sir. But Randy Perkinson moves into second place, or second on the ladder right now with that run, and that'll bring our next pair up. Al Davidowski, left-hand side out of Columbus, New Jersey, the 2010 GXP.
Your last winner on tour in back half top sportsman, Mike Alexander Jr., Mechanicsville, Virginia. The Walking Tall Garage 63 model Chevrolet Corvette.
And I tell you, I was down near the winner circle when Mike Alexander, you couldn't have knocked a smile off of his face. I mean,
no doubt.
He was ecstatic, and he is now your current points leader as well.
Yep, no doubt about it.
So Davidowski with some issues there, left-hand side. Looks like Mike Alexander Jr. going to be on a single pass.
It looks like Davidowski leaking something out of the Sonny Leonard horsepower left-hand side of the racetrack. Mike Alexander Jr. will go at it as a single in the Grinch Chevrolet Corvette. Alexander Jr., let's go 002, 415, 173 miles per hour. We'll put him securely into the top sportsman field this weekend. It's your past winner on tour. Let's go 2 here in Q1. Attention to the pits. Summit Racing parts call. Once again, Summit Racing parts call. Need a 514 gear with a chunk. If you will, go see Bob Harris or Jason Harris. Looking for a 514 rear gear setup. Bob and Jason Harris looking for a rear gear 514 ratio. Summit parts call. Head on over to the Party Time Camp if you can help them out.
And Tyler, 2 heavy hitters in the elite category are going to pull up here side by side in Q1. Brian LaFlamme and Tim Molnar. Molnar here on the right-hand side. The high maintenance 1968 Camaro out of Seville, Ohio. TRN Manufacturing, Gym Attachments, ARC Gases, and Albert Racing Engines. That's 959 cubic inches of bracket motor underneath the hood scoop for Molnar.
Scotty, all you can say on these two is them 2 boys fast. This should be a really, really good matchup right here. Like you said, Molnar packing a nitrous oxide entry. LaFlamme packing some Todd Tutterow horsepower, WIO Motorsports. Mike Janis superchargers on board that hot rod. New 67 model Mustang for them. I think this was a new car at the beginning of last season. You see Brad Schmidt of WYO out there. Keeping an eye on this hot rod for Brian LaFlamme. Big stuff, total management on board for that team. But like we talked about, these two should see 3-second elapsed times on both scoreboards. Coors Light left-hand side of the racetrack and the Napa Auto Parts right-hand side of the racetrack. I can tell you both these drivers right here are hoping that the mountains are cold, because they are hoping for 2-3-second elapsed times, and will probably be looking for a cold one if it goes down the way they want it to. As both drivers like the pre-stage bulbs, at about the right time, Molnar makes the last second adjustment on the bottle pressure. Here we go.
And there it is, 377 with the 1 at 199 miles an hour. Move Molnar to the top. Brian LaFlamme slides into the number 3 position with a 383 with a 9.
Billy Albert horsepower was doing some damage down on the top end of the racetrack. 199 miles per hour for Tim Molnar, flexing some muscles. 377 to the top.
But hold on, because here comes Glenn Butcher, left-hand side of the racetrack. The Butcher & Sons Demo 69 Camaro for Hoosier Tires, Abruzzi Trans, PAC Springs, and Albert Race Engines. Another one of those 959 cubic inch bracket motors. And Tim Lawrence on the right-hand side out of Princeton, West Virginia. The 2013 Camaro they call the Phantom has a measly 762 under the hood.
Yeah, it's just a solid big block. Scotty, like you said, we talked on Molnar going number 1 right there, and you spoke on it. Butcher always looking to go to the top, and let's be honest, he went 79 in the middle of the day. Molnar 77 might be in trouble. Could be a very short stint at the top of the qualifying sheet if Glenn Butcher makes the lap that I'm sure that team from Doylestown, Ohio wants to make right here on Thursday night.
And both these drivers have found success here this season in the PDRA. Butcher with an event win, and I think Lawrence either has a win or runner-up.
I think it's a runner-up finish, if I remember right, but still, like you said, 2 tough competitors, not only just in category, but in racing in general. These 2 guys are not 2 you want to park beside when it comes down for elimination day. Lawrence first to stage, Glenn Butcher. Second to light the lamp, Tree Fires, Doug Butcher go to the top. Glenn Butcher out and gone, top end 379. Tim Molnar stays at the top of the board. Butcher slides into number 2 at 197 miles per hour. Tim Lawrence, number 9, 398.
So with that 398, your top 9 cars already in the 3-second bracket. And here come a couple more. Ron Biondo, left side of the racetrack, the beautiful 94 Lumina out of Macedonia, Ohio. Kuzman Motorsports, Nesbitt, Tiff Transmissions, and Penske Shocks on board his machine. And Stephen Evans. Stephen Evans, the outsider machine for Corey's Custom Fab, Keeler Motorsports, Stevens Property Management, and Stevens Performance, the Firebird, here on the right side. Biondo, 419 at 172. Stephen Evans with some issues here on the right-hand side. Biondo moving to the number 16 qualifying position with that lap. That'll bring up Dale Conson, left-hand side of the racetrack. The Cowles Motorsports 07 Cobalt for Holly Rock Customs. Bill Janke here on the right-hand side out of Newburgh, New York, the 2013 Camaro.
Dale Conson, Bill Janke. Jank, the good-looking 13 model Camaro painted by Court Designs. Clicks it 031 red. Top of the racetrack 424, 170 miles per hour for Bill.
Dale Conson stopping the clocks with that 445 will land him in the 26th qualified position so far. Dan Germano getting all the burnout over here.
Making sure all the valve springs are really, really solid in that Power Racing Engine 68 model Camaro.
Good thing he's got the royal purple in it.
Most definitely need something.
Miller Welders, Hoosier, NGK, and Barrel Battery all on board Germano's machine here on the right-hand side. He'll be up against Roy McCoy out of Baltimore, Maryland. Calls himself the real McCoy.
How many times are you going to mess that up over
I'm
the
going to
weekend?
train wreck that before the weekend's out.
Most definitely.
So, next two, backing up from the burnouts. They'll head to the top ball.
Sounds like a boxer name.
Well, as you know, from where we sit up here, it's really, I have no idea. The guy could walk in, we wouldn't even know who he was.
He wouldn't, but it would be awesome. Could you imagine? Coming out of the red corner.
Roy McCoy.
I'm telling you,
in the
it
black
has a
shorts.
ring. It has a ring to it. Watch this. Now, guy probably hops out of the car. He's 6'8", 285. Probably a Golden Gloves winner from back in the day.
Oh, it's been fun. You know?
It has.
We've
You
had
know,
a good run.
well, we had a really good run. You know, it only lasted 47 minutes. But, you know, Scotty, it was a great time to try this. Golden Gloves McCoy, last of stage, left-hand side of the racetrack, Dan Germano, right-hand side, neither driver, let's go to the bus. We are still cuddling on the starting line. Germano 425 at 167 miles per hour. The real McCoy, Golden Glove winner, 472 at 148 miles per hour.
Two Ohio runners backing up from their burnouts. Bill Yates on the right-hand side. The ProFab 68 Camaro. Wife Angie on the headset, making sure he gets back where he needs to be. That was a sideways burnout he pulled off. And Scott Wasco on the left-hand side. The 2011 GXP they call Humpty Dumpty. Hoosier Tire, Bruzy, Wasco, Pip Motorsports, and APD Carburetors on board that machine out of Columbia Station.
Scotty, like you said, these two drivers hailing from the state of Ohio. Little Pontiac versus Chevrolet action with Wasco and Yates. Two D3 runners that have coined it up by their car numbers. Yates in the ProFab Camaro. Always got some good pieces that roll out of that Bob's ProFab shop, man. They are some good looking race car builders for sure.
Nice looking hot rod here on the right side. And of course, their famous 55 Chevrolets that we saw while we were in Norwalk.
Norwalk.
That's where
Newark's where he's from.
Right. In Norwalk is where we saw the 55s.
Wasco, a multi-time winner in numerous series. Sitting along the left-hand side of the racetrack is definitely looking to add another PDRA 660 man to the mantle in Columbia Station. For the insurance agent, that's 53 years of age. Yates left before the third amber, but Wasco 4:17, 173 miles per hour. Good lap for Scott right there. Yates will still record a time, 4:20 at 168.
So that'll currently land Scott Wasco number 14, Bill Yates number 18. And our next pair, David Whedon on the right-hand side out of King George, Virginia, the FloRacing 2016 Camaro. And House of Pain on the left-hand side. That's Mark Payne out of Waynesboro, Virginia, the 06 Cavalier for Holly. Mickey Thompson, Rogers Automotive and Competition Suspensions.
Scotty, Mark Payne has a long list of companies that support his program, but really the most important one is he is a 53-year-old Little Debbie engineer. And that is important.
That is. I mean, because who doesn't like a Little Debbie snack cake?
Little Debbie is going to power this announcing room for the next 2 days. I can promise you that.
A really good chance of that happening.
It will definitely provide a marvelous breakfast of champions. 100%.
So Payne utilizing a little bit different setup underneath the hood of that Chevrolet Cavalier, and that's an LS platform and twin turbos.
It has to be a blast to drive that thing. Sounds really, really cool on the two-step as well. Kind of wish he was making a single so you could hear it because it's so quiet. And then when that thing gets up on the chip, it sounds so angry. Not like big nitrous oxide cubic inch rumble, but like it has a different vibe to it, man. That thing's angry. Mark Payne has a long time been driving that thing, has made a lot of big runs in that car, turned on a lot of big-time win lights, not only in Top Sportsman, but also in some big money bracket racing as well. Payne and Whedon, your next two here in Magna Fuel Top Sportsman.
That may be personal best numbers right there for Payne.
That's down there, 4:10, 178 miles per hour. I want to say that might be the quickest lap that House of Pain Cavalier has made. I know he's been beating on the door to 4.0s for a long time, but I'm not sure if that's a personal best. But if it's not, it is darn near there. Mark Payne, number 11.
Yeah, no, yeah, we got confirmation from the media room.
We got confirmation from the media room. That just tells you how bad it is. If we are relying on our media people to tell us if that's a personal best or not, we really need to step up our game here in the announce deck. Click, click, picture. Click, click, picture.
Things are getting rough up here right from the get-go, right on Thursday afternoon.
I wonder if they'll give us the camera and let us go out and try to put something in a frame, you know? I mean, it can't be that hard. Let's be honest. Project moves, image moves, turn with it. Click, 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 done.
You're about to get yourself in trouble.
I've done it before.
You gotten in trouble?
No, I've done a lot of that.
Okay.
As I probably need to stop speaking right now. Hang on, let's have confirmation. As Uncle Rodney Pryor has stepped in, it is not a personal best. He went 4:09 in Florida. Uncle Rodney, thank you for the facts. Nick Maloney, thanks for getting us back to drag racing. 4:27.9 for Nick Maloney.
4:48 over here on the right-hand side, and Wayne Patton having some issues. That's not Wayne Patton. That is Wayne Patton. We have confirmation.
Well, we're not sure. Wayne Patton owns 2 cars. Let's just clarify this. Here's your clarification for you, head nod media room. Wayne Patton owns 2 cars. One of them is being driven by him. The computer tells us it is this one, Scotty.
This one. You didn't tell me which one.
This one, the one in the right lane.
Okay, the one in the right lane. Issues, though, on the left-hand side for the show and tell machine.
Of Vonnie Mills.
Yes. They're pushing that one back. So Wayne Patton's going to sit here patiently waiting.
This should be you know how people are always looking for television shows to make? This should be a television show.
We got a face for it.
We have a 30-minute game show network program right here. Name that car. It kind of like Deal or No Deal back in the day. I can't go for the Howie Mandel program, but I mean, you could pull that off, Scotty.
I've got the same haircut he has.
I couldn't open the cases in the same way, though. That would be kind of awkward.
So, we think Wayne Patton here in the Mustang for Schaefer's Oil, ATI Performance Products, Larice Insurance, and Braille Battery.
Patton Mustang, top end 459 at 149.
Larice Motorsports Insurance, Top Dragster, we need you. Top Dragster, we need you for Q1. Long Skinnies, we need you to the staging lanes, please.
Oh, in that case, I'll be back, Scotty. Top Dragster, we need you down. Bring them on down to the lanes. Top Dragster, it is your time to shine. Top Dragster, we need you to the lanes.
Killer Brooks, left side of the racetrack out of Youngstown, Ohio. The Tri-County Electric Unlimited Welding 2020 Camaro. And Wendell Denny Jr. here on the right-hand side out of Gainesville, Virginia, the 04 Cavalier for Yates Detailing.
Scotty, I've already received text messages that say, we want Derek back. So the fans are telling me that I'm not good enough. Do you ever receive hate mail like this?
All the time, dude. And,
darn.
I'd really like to know who wants Derek back.
Is that
It's got to be like one in a row.
Is that the ignore button? Is that what
delete?
This is? Oh,
Delete
that's
contact.
delete. Control Alt Delete. Got
That's
it. Derek, we love you, buddy.
Kinda.
Lorenzo Brooks, left-hand side of the racetrack from Youngstown, Ohio. The 2020 model Camaro sits alongside Wendell Denny Jr. in the Cavalier.
Lucius Yates, the car owner, stands behind Wendell here on the right-hand side. His dad watching on. Killer Brooks rolls through the beams. Wendell throws Wendell way off, but he's going to have to make the lap to get a qualifying time. Gonna pop out of the hood scoop for Wendell. Not sure what's happening here on the right-hand side. Might have to shut that machine off, and does.
What an odd combination of runs right there. Just struggling. Couple struggles right there. So Scotty, like you said, Wendell having some trouble right there. We're going to back those two off the racetrack, and then we'll get moving with our next two. And I have to say, the one on the left-hand side of the racetrack next up, probably a fan favorite, Pimpin' and Limpin', my man, Jamie Fowler.
Getting the fired up signal from the MIR staff. We're ready to go.
All right, shout out Lauren Wilson, my man Moose. Sitting at home, cooking 300 pork steaks for his new business. Sends a photo.
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't hungry till I saw that.
Yeah, thanks, Moose. You guys, keep it up, buddy. We miss you out here on the PDRA Tour. Hope you can come see us later on this season.
So our next pair, Dan Hill on the right-hand side, Thompson, Connecticut, the Hill Construction Services Chevrolet, and Jamie Fowler, as you mentioned, out of Chester, South Carolina, the Pimpin' and Limpin' 69 Camaro for PD Fleet, LAT Racing Oil, Advanced Prosthetics, Gopher Utilities, and Yonce RVs.
You will not meet a cooler dude driving a race car than Jamie Fowler. 100%. Just always happy, upbeat, having a good time. Even if it's not a good time, Jamie Fowler is usually one of the most upbeat guys on property. If you haven't had the chance to meet him, find him in the pit area this weekend. Go shake his hand, check out the hot rod. This car used to run in Pro Nitrous with Chris Reaney. Now it's got PD Fleet on the sides with Russell Miller. LAT Racing Oils on board as well. Some tuning help with Buddy Perkinson standing behind the race car, as Buddy will sit back, watch the Fulton competition-powered Chevrolet Camaro leave the starting line here in just a moment. But Jamie Fowler looking to put himself into the elite field. There are 16 cars currently at a 418 bump spot. The top 9 are in the 3-second range, and I can promise you Jamie Fowler is looking for something along a 385 on the Coors Light left-hand side of the racetrack.
And 903 cubic inches of Fulton power underneath the hood scoop as they turn on the top bulb, and here we go.
Both drivers turn loose. 14, Fowler out and gone. 387, 192 miles per hour for Jamie Fowler. That puts him in at number 5, right between the supercharged entries of Brian LaFlamme and Randy Perkinson.
And a good run for Dan Hill here on the right-hand side. He goes a 412 with the one that landed him in the number 13th qualified position so far. Our next pair already backing up from their burnouts. Robbie Stewart on the right-hand side out of Strasburg, Virginia. The 90 Cutlass, and Doug Robinson. Doug out of Fredericksburg. So a fun fact, Tyler, somebody at my real job today asked me how long I've been doing working for the PDRA, and I said I'm on my 6th year. I didn't really understand when I said it that this would be my last time, because you and I are getting fired today.
We probably are. If anything, we will put on a really good send-out show.
Yes.
Somebody will laugh. Wait, one.
We'll have to lock the door to the tower so they can't get into it.
Probably so, but we'll have a good time. 2 Virginia runners, Douglas Robertson and Robbie Stewart. Going to throw down and do battle side by side here on a Thursday night at Budds Creek, Maryland.
Larice Motorsports Insurance Top Dragster. You should be in the staging lanes. Top Dragster, we've called you. We need you to the lanes for Q1, please.
Douglas Robertson double 03 on the let-go. 457 at 155 miles per hour. Robbie Stewart, 463, his 90 model Cutlass.
Vince Vercade Sr. here on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Out of Mount Airy, Maryland. The Cifelli Racing Camaro. For 4K transmission. And Brian Tiff, left-hand side, out of Middleburg Heights, Ohio. The Schween Motorsports 2020 Corvette. Charlie Buck horsepower underneath the hood scoop, 941 cubic inches of it. Jerry Bickle built that machine. M&M Transmission, Schweitzer Dynamics, and Mark Smith Racing on board. Watch the Corvette left side, 384 with a 1 at 197 miles per hour. 423.3 for Vince Vercade Sr. But Luke Brian Tiff in the Dr. Gary Schween owned Chevrolet Corvette to the number 5 qualified position. Now your top 11 are all in the 3-second zone. And Mark Reese is your number 16 qualifier so far at a 416 with a 1. That'll bring up John Schmidt on the left-hand side at Orchid Park, New York, the Jansen 2014 Camaro. And Karsten Ierges here on the right-hand side out of Warren, Ohio. Another one out of the Schwinn Motorsports camp. 2000 Firebird, Charlie Buck horsepower, a Bruzy transmission, and Mark Smith Racing on board this machine on the right side. Larice Motorsports Insurance, Top Dragster, we've called you for Q1. Top Dragster, we've called you for Q1, please. Ooh, big time issues there for John Schmid left side. Carson's going to go 433 at 167 miles per hour. Schmidt's just going to idle down through there. All right, we're just making sure John Smith's machine gets cleared off the top into the racetrack. And our next pair, fire to life here in the water box, Jeff Melnick and Bruce Thrift. Melnick left side of the racetrack out of Hubbard, Ohio. The exotic Fab 02 Avenger for Greenbrier Excavating and Greenville Auto Parts. Our most recent winner on tour. Here on the right-hand side, on the elite side of things, Bruce Thrift out of Waycross, Georgia. The Color Me Gone 2018 GTO for Par Racing Engines and Chassis Engineering.
Buddy McGowan next up here on the right-hand side at a Perry Hall, Maryland, the 68 Camaro. You can be ready just up on to your left side. The deep purple 69 Camaro. Buddy Scott Research, RJ ready to start. Charlie Buffalo System. back up and running. Scott, this is why we have these discussions usually about catching things over on the race cars and all that. Just, these things are making a lot of horsepower and a lot of moving parts on a lot of these race cars. You know, all it takes is one good, hard tire shake on a run and you have a little bit and all of a sudden you have a leak. We have a cleanup. Cleanup's not fun.
Time consuming.
They're not sponsored by Hey Dudes Foot Apparel either.
No, no, sir. All right. Racing surface ready to go. The next two fire up and pull into the water box.
Scotty, one driver on the left-hand side of the racetrack, has staged up in probably more top sportsman races than any other driver on the property. Right-hand side of the racetrack, this driver has staged up in probably just as many or more races, period, out there. Ronnie Proctor, left-hand side of the racetrack, one of the legends in top sportsman racing. Whether that's in his own mind or on the paper, we do not know. But Ronnie Proctor is staged up in a lot of top sportsman races. Right-hand side of the racetrack, Burlington, North Carolina's own Mr. Travis Harvey, the Carolina kid for Miles Truck Service and Holland Enterprises. Travis brought the nitrous car out to play this weekend. Sticks it over in top sportsman, gonna let go on the top bulb. Now we know why Travis was bracket racing a couple of weeks ago. Now it all makes sense. Sometimes you got to see it in a little different mode. I think he was driving an S10 pickup truck, if I remember right. Probably going 580s, 6.0s. Now we're going to try to bracket race going 370s. Neat.
Seems normal.
I think it seems very well normal.
Normal progression of events, yeah.
I mean, you have to see it, ish. Or you could not see the finish line and drive like I do. Either one. I mean, all you got to do to drive like me is let go 20 and still not get there, or take a mile. It really doesn't matter. You're going to mess up both ends of the racetrack and just be in the way, making a really cool time trial.
.378 with the 5 for Travis Harvey. 199 miles an hour for number 2. Behind Molnar's 377. Ronnie Proctor going to stop the clock for the 430 and 164.
Scotty G, Travis Harvey rolls down through there, and you've got 4 nitrous cars leading the way here in Elite Top Sportsman. Molnar, Harvey, Butcher, and Pap, your top 4 all nitrous entries so far.
And that's going to put Dan Hill on the bump spot, number 16 out of 412 with the 1. Our next pair, Crazy Ed Foley, left side of the racetrack. The Cox Automotive 05 Cobalt, and Dwayne Silence, another elite player here on the right-hand side out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. The Hog Farmer for Silence Service Center, and a 68 Camaro.
That bump spot of 412 might be under fire right about now. Dwayne Silence, the Hog Farmer, right-hand side of the racetrack. I believe he is number 3 in the championship point standings in Elite Top Sportsman, so Dwayne will be looking to stick that Camaro in the 3-second range and put himself firmly into the elite field on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Silent lets go 10 and has to abort mission. Made a big move to the right-hand side of the groove. Crazy Ed Foley 445, but Dwayne Silence does not make the lap that he wanted to make right there on Thursday night. 4:34 for Dwayne Silence will close out Top Sportsman, and we roll right into Top Dragster.
So number 2 man in the point standings comes up here on the right-hand side of the racetrack, riding a little wave of momentum. He was runner-up at our last event in Larice Motorsports Insurance Elite Top Dragster. Kyle Harris out of Beaufort, Ontario, Canada, for 00 Permits and Service, Harquip, Hartman Machine Works, Fast Eddie Racewear, and Atchison Machine. Left-hand side, it's going to be Gabe Miles out of Elgin, South Carolina, for KD Productions.
Gabe Miles, left-hand side of the racetrack, but all eyes are on the number 2 man in points, Kyle Harris, right-hand side of the racetrack. We just talked up Dwayne Silence trying to put his Camaro into the elite side of the field, and he had to abort mission. Kyle Harris is trying to do the same on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Just watch Dwayne Silence right in front of him have trouble. Does that affect the Old Canada base Top Dragster? Right about now, we're going to find out. Harris, 10 up front, right down Broadway, 376 at 192 miles per hour. So Kyle Harris sets the pace. 376.5 is the number to beat right here in Top Dragster. Right-hand side of the racetrack, Tony Fagnelli, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania based, 2019 Miller chassis, 648 cubic inches on board that hot rod. Left-hand side of the racetrack, Mr. Big Money Bracket Race himself says, I'm going PDRA Top Dragster racing this weekend. Corey Galletti from Tomball, Texas, the American Race Cars chassis. Wilson Power on board in a hot rod. No nitrous bottle on that thing. And watch the scoreboard when that thing is all motor. Corey Galletti coming off of some big-time, Big Money Bracket races this season. Says he's going Top Dragster racing this weekend. Let's find out. Galletti, let's go 18 The American chassis car 428 at 161 miles per hour, and that thing is all Wilson Race Engines horsepower. So Galletti, 428 will put him firmly into the back half of the field. Tony Fagnelli, 443 in the Miller chassis, slides in as well.
And that'll bring up Shannon Roberts here on the right-hand side out of Greenville, South Carolina, the Roberts Equipment 2010 Race Tech. And Big Brown, left-hand side of the racetrack in the Red Rum Race Tech for Tar Heel Home Builders, P&M Engines.
Big Brown, Shannon Roberts. Your next two here in top dragster. Big Brown is sneaking. Shannon 005, 415 for Shannon, 431 for Austin Brown. The Menser Motorsports shocks on that hot rod. Go 431. Shannon Roberts puts herself into the field, 415.
Zach Papp next up here on the right-hand side, the 2010 American chassis, and Chad Traylor, the 22 Maddox on the left-hand side out of Providence Forge, Virginia for Par Racing Engines and House of Pain.
Flav sitting on the left-hand side of the racetrack. Trailer number 5 in the championship point standings right now for top dragster. Also up top in the top sportsman Corvette as well. Trailer 004. On the red side, Trailer stops the clocks, 443. Zach Papp, 458 after being 13 on the let-go.
Ricky Molnar on the right-hand side of Seville, Ohio, the Gem Attachments 2016 American chassis for ARC Gases, Billy Albert horsepower. Alan O'Brien, left-hand side for Greenbrier Excavating, the 2023 Race Tech. For Barry Allen Race Engines, Mickey Thompson Tires, Weaver Automotive, PTP Racing, and Greenbrier Excavating.
Alan O'Brien, left-hand side of the racetrack, the quad turbocharged 23 model Race Tech, AMC power between the frame rails. Teammates with Tisha Wilson. Driving kind of a twin car to this one. Alan will be looking to go somewhere, I'm going to guess, in the 380 range. Ricky Molnar probably looking to be mid-420s. I think she's got 425 on the dial-in board of that American chassis race car. Ricky relying on nitrous oxide to get there in a hurry. Alan O'Brien, 4 little baby turbochargers with Patrick Barnhill of PTP Racing on the laptop. Alan O'Brien, 005, letting go 422 at 169. Ricky Molnar, 434. At about 62. That was 042 from the announce deck right there. Laid out 2 predictions, and we came up over right there, Scotty.
Nothing uncommon, sir. Will Kreisman, right-hand side at Asheville, North Carolina for CNC Chemical and Par Racing Engines. And Uncle Rodney Pryor, left-hand side for the House of Pain, Par Racing Engines. The 2011 Racecraft.
Do we still call him Air Rodney?
He doesn't like it.
He doesn't.
No.
So in that case, Air Rodney, left-hand side of the racetrack for Pryor, for Mark and Angel, and mainly Papa Payne. Air Rodney going to try to keep the air on the ground in the Mickey Thompson slicks on the backside of that Danny Nelson Racecraft chassis. Sits alongside the young gun, Will Kreisman for CNC Chemical. For Race Tech on the right-hand side, Danny Nelson Racecraft on the left side. Scotty, we will butcher that.
I have.
Multiple times, probably.
Yeah.
Not talking your skills. That's just hard.
It happens.
Didn't they make a bumper sticker on that? Wasn't that in a movie?
Something going on over here at the Kreisman camp is they were just leaned in the cockpit having a conversation.
I think Spud said stage it.
Okay.
That's what I got out of that. Rodney Pryor, 410 at 172 miles per hour. Enough of the air jokes. We were airing it out is what we were doing. Rodney Pryor goes to number 2, 410 at 172 miles per hour. Mark Payne is all smiles as both of his hot rods go 410 here on Thursday night at Butts Creek.
And Kreisman goes through at a 427, 159. Tom Reese on the right-hand side, the T&K Automotive Services 99 undercover chassis for Francis Engineering Engine, the Snap-on Tools, and Richie Allen. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, Scotty, last time you and I saw Richie was last Sunday, and Richie's car left VMP with a lot of broken parts. We broke a rear end, we broke a drive shaft, we broke just about everything on the back half of that Racetech chassis, and we are rebuilt and here to stage it up in round number 1 of qualifying. Tom Reese sits alongside of the undercover chassis. Richie Allen out and gone. Looks like the rebuild is A-OK. 413 at 173 miles per hour. I can tell you that camp right there will never hear the end of Rodney Pryor out qualifying Richie Allen with a nitrous car by 3 Hun.
Bo Quintero here on the right-hand side, the 08 S&W chassis out of Riverton, New Jersey. And Lucas Salemi in the rent-a-ride.
The rent-a-ride. I've driven that car before. 2017 Chromeworks chassis coming out of the American Race Cars camp. Clarence Center, New York. Driving the TFM hot rod. Scotty, you're getting summons from the media room. So Lucas Salemi, his first ride behind the American chassis of Tommy Franklin. Pat UC Power on board. Let's see what Lucas can lay down here in his first shot on Thursday night. Bo Contreras, the blower car, right-hand side. Lucas, let's go 35. Lights it up, 448 at 153 miles per hour. They had 49 on the dial-in board, so I'm going to say that was pretty close.
Nick Shirky, left-hand side of the racetrack, and Matt Parlett here on the right-hand side. Matt from nearby Mechanicsville, Maryland. Computech 2014 Miller chassis for VP Race Fuels.
Matt Parlett, let's go triple zero, 435 at 161 miles per hour. Thank goodness he did not do that alongside my hired gun driver 2 weeks ago, as Jake Hodge would have been in trouble with that one as he was most of the weekend. Any other time he staged one of my hot rods. Joe Gary and Brooke Hall Gary. Oh boy, this is a house divided right here. This is not how you do this. Wonder if there's like a dollar bet on who's better on the tree here. Any bets here, Scotty? Brooke, Gary, Joe, Gary?
Yeah,
House divided, maybe?
If I was Joe, I'd just sleep on the start line.
Boy, I'd cuddle that
Because it's
button
better
like
than the couch.
I would cuddle that button like you've never seen right here. And my luck, Brooke would be 001 red.
So here we go. Top bulb's lit up.
Scotty, I'm nervous for Joe. I really am.
I'm not. He knows how to play the game.
The bad part is he's really good at it. Ah, smart man. Bet he rolled 40 in right there. Brooke Hall, 24 up front, 422 in the American chassis. Joe, 433, and will not have to sleep on the couch tonight as Brooke was first leaving the starting line.
So Bruce and Lynn Mullins on the left-hand side of the racetrack. And Stacy Hall, the Fulton-powered 2024 Carbon American chassis here on the right-hand side.
Stacy Hall, brand new American Race Cars chassis, debuted this thing at Norwalk, literally rolled it out of American Race Cars to the racetrack and said, stage them up, boys, we're here to race. Stacy Hall, the engine builder from Fulton Competition, 435 on the dial-in board for the all-carbon car, rolling out of ARC. You combine those two, and they were perfect. Mullins, 386, 188. Stacy Hall, 422. 3,000 on the red side.
Nick Rivas here on the right-hand side. And Kenny Young out of Petersburg, Virginia, the KMC Racing 2020 Race Tech for House of Pain, Cam's Racing Engines, Hughes Converter, Battery Barn, and BTE Transmissions. Kenny Young picked up the win last Sunday down at Virginia Motorsports Park in their ET program. Tough competitor.
Kenny Young, Nick Rivas having trouble. Kenny Young out and gone. 427, 162 miles per hour for the 2020 Model Race Tech chassis. Turbocharger cars are loud, Scotty.
Absolutely are. Especially Tony Elrod's here on the right-hand side out of Howell, Michigan, the Mr. E's Auto Sales 2020-14. Yeah, let me try that again. 2020-2014 something.
Something.
American chassis. And Kevin Roof on the left-hand side out of Mechanicsville, Maryland. Gibson Motorsports American Elevator, Brady Mechanical Machine.
Kevin Roof, Tony Elrod, your next two to do battle here in Larice Motorsports Insurance Top Dragster. Roof, router right here in Maryland. Tony Elrod from Michigan.
Elrod 14, let it go. 388.7 at 184 miles per hour. Kevin Roof 433 at 160.
Scotty, they're loud because they're fast.
Yeah, that's good for the number 3 spot right now on the elite side. So have to go. Kevin Roof made it in. That number's going to drop. It's at a 433. It'll definitely get hammered.
Most definitely. We're about to see one
Yeah, I
driver
was gonna say.
try to be quicker than that for sure.
Brian Anderson, left side of the racetrack out of Carson, Virginia, the 2023 Race Tech. And here on the right-hand side, Troy Wonderboy Williams out of Warrington, Virginia, the Nesbitt Performance Engines 2010 Miller chassis. Hoosier Tire, House of Pain, Weaver's Transmissions, and Team W Motorsports.
The patriarch of Team W was here this weekend for a slight uno momento. He didn't stop by to see us.
No.
Steve nor Dylan, neither one.
Kinda rude.
Shout out to Team W, even though
Yeah.
you didn't want to come shout out to the announce crew.
It's wrong.
Thanks, W's. It's like we said, Brian Anderson is going to try to attack that 433 bump spot to get into the elite field. The Race Tech chassis left-hand side, Miller chassis for Team W. Troy Williams, 1 foul. Separate on that front. Brian Anderson looks good going to the elite field. 379, 190 miles per hour. T-Dub, Troy Williams, 433.0. Currently the bump spot for the elite field, but he will fall into the back half as normal because you have got some fast runners still yet to go here in Top Dragster.
Yeah, and that pass put Brian Anderson into the number 2 spot in the qualified order so far. Here comes Dickie Smith backing up on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Waldorf, Maryland, the Mazier Products Pool Shirt System, Hoosier Tire, Computech, Race Tech. And Nicole Zuccarelli here on the right-hand side. The Oakley-powered 2021 Ken's Custom Chassis.
Take two, Scotty. Let's try this again.
All right, we're just kidding the first time. We're getting ready to stage them up. Time for Dickie Smith, and that's the better of the two. 437.3 at 156, 432.0 at 161 for Nicole. Art Seoff, left-hand side of the racetrack. Good-looking 09 American chassis. And Tommy Norton here on the right-hand side out of Huntington, Maryland.
Art Seoffian, Tommy Norton. Tommy Norton, like the nicest bracket racer ever. He wasn't nice to Art Seoffi. 006. Go up front for Norton. Norton stops the clocks 4:42. Art Seoffi 4:35.
And Tyler just backfired over here. I ain't sure what just happened.
That wasn't an internal combustion. I don't know what that was.
Tyler Rudolph, left side of the racetrack out of Hemlock, New York. The Derek Wolf Trucking 2010 American chassis. And Kellen Farmer, Team Race Tech, here on the right-hand side out of Graham, North Carolina for FTI, Strange, and Hoosier.
Scotty, you ever have those moments in life where you feel like you have your life all together and everything's kind of going your way? That is not me tonight.
When does that happen?
I've wondered. I thought it was. Everybody says that's okay, but I have yet to find it, especially sitting behind the microphone. We are not doing well this evening.
We're doing fantastic. Couldn't get better. Farmer Rudolph on the starting line. Get ready to light the top bulbs. Russ making sure the wheelie bar on Kellen's machine is where he wants it.
Kellen Farmer will be looking to go to the top of the board, and that's going to take a 376 to do so. Race Tech chassis, right-hand side of the racetrack, sits alongside the American of Tyler Rudolph. Kellen Farmer out and gone. 381 for Team Race Tech. 193 miles per hour moves Kellen Farmer up to number 3. Tyler Rudolph's 420 puts him also in the elite field for right now, number 10.
And the next two machines could find their way onto the elite side of things. Patrick Forrester here on the right-hand side out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The 2014 American chassis for Sunoco, Abruzzi, Mosier, ProCharger, and NGK. And Charles Caricia on the left-hand side out of Asheville, North Carolina, the 24 Next Gen chassis for line-to-line coatings, car racing engines.
So, Scotty, as we move through Top Dragster qualifying, we're going to look ahead to tomorrow. You'll see these guys back out on the racetrack right behind our junior dragster categories. Top Sportsman will come back again for Q2, and right behind them, right at noon tomorrow, will be our pros. Starting us off with pro qualifying at 12 o'clock. These two drivers are 4 fouls, separating them up front, and 1 Hun separating them out the back. 383, quicker of the two for Patrick Forrester goes number 4. Charles Caricia, Mike Kopko, I was speaking, sir. Charles Caricia slides in the next gen chassis out of Ray Ray's shop. 384 for Caricia, number 5. Currently, Mike Kopko, thanks for interrupting my numbers that I was throwing out there, sir, with the Steel City Rocket out of the M&M chassis.
And J.B. Donati here on the right-hand side, the White Oak Turf Care 2012 Race Tech for Superior Tire and Auto. Kopko, another one of those elite players there on the left-hand side. J.B. could possibly get there, maybe.
Oh yeah, JB's got the jug on it. It says 417 on the dial-in board. He does not have one of those Corey Galletti NA horsepower engines.
427 right now is the bump spot in the 12, is number 16, which we know that's not going to stand for long.
Nope. Scotty, we're going to take a pause for the calls as our assistant race director, Paul Cartwright, has entered the announce booth. We are going to have some sort of message given to us right now. Well, Scotty, that was a lot of hype for nothing. Paul didn't come through. Topco, he comes through 388 at 185 miles per hour. J.B. Donati, 419 at 166.
Move Kopko to the number 7 position. J.B. number 13 on the elite side of things right now. And that'll bring up Tisha Wilson, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Salisbury, North Carolina, the Greenbrier Excavating 2023 Race Tech for Barry Allen Race Engines, PTP Racing, and Premier Concrete Solutions. Brooks McMath on the right-hand side, the 18-year-old out of Chesapeake, Virginia. For W.L. Black & Associates, the 2011 Race Tech NGK Performance, 660 Race Car Technologies, and Abruzzi Transmissions. Man,
I will say, Patrick stepped out of the seat a couple weeks ago in his car. His car, I believe, is probably rolling into the water box, if I had to guess. But Brooks McMath, been a really good transition for him in the top dragster coming out of Pro Junior. His dad's got him on a really good Race Tech chassis, really good blower motor. I think that's some Billy Albert power, if I remember correctly. It's either, yep, it looks like the Eagle on the valve cover from here. It's Tisha Wilson, past world champ. Sitting on the left-hand side of the racetrack for Greenbrier Excavating, sits alongside the young gun, Brooks McMath, as both drivers stage at the exact same time. Tisha, double 05 on the red side. Tisha will get to the finish line first. 4:07 at 173. Brooks McMath, 4:31.
And that'll put Tisha number 9. Top 8 drivers all in the 3-second zone. So our next pair. Alan Glatt, the Gladiator, on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and Frank Falter, the Candyman, here on the right-hand side out of Mount Airy, Maryland, for Noonan Race Engineering.
Did you just call Glatt the Gladiator?
I did.
Is he sponsored by Facebook this week or not?
I'm not getting into that discussion, sir.
Hey, Alan likes to hit posts sometimes. Troy Williams will be very proud of that one. There's not a lot of times that Alan Glatt gets to sit on the racetrack and watch a car drive away from him, but it's going to happen tonight if Frank Falter makes the run that we know the Candyman Miller chassis can. So right-hand side of the racetrack. Did I say Candyman can? Did that just happen?
It did. I'm surprised you didn't break out in song right there.
I don't have the high notes for it, or the low notes, or any of the notes in between. We're going to leave that to the talented people, possibly Alaska. She'll be here whenever she gets here. Maybe.
She can handle that job.
She's got the high notes and the low notes. I don't have that. Scotty, back to our racing part here. Alan Glatt, Frank Falter, the 4th.
To the top, in they go, and look at Falter, 368 with a 7 at 207 miles per hour, making a statement right here in the opening round of qualifying, going right to the top of the charts.
Scotty, I think the kids these days call that a mic drop. Wow, 368, lighting up the Napa Auto Parts right-hand side of the racetrack here in the darkness of June as Royce Miller sits on board and says it's good to see Alan Glatt back at Maryland. 4:35 puts him on the board.
All right, back to our racing program here. Al Miller left side out of Chester, Maryland, the 2013 Miller chassis, and Jimmy Albertson here on the right-hand side. The Jimmy's Garage 04 Race Tech.
Miller lets go too foul too early. 4:21 for the Miller chassis of Al Miller. Wonder if he got a sponsorship out of that deal. James Albertson, 4:30, slides in at number 24 on the field.
Russ Whitlock and Mallory Logan behind the wheel. Logan stops the clock with a 4:37. Russ Whitlock going to go to the number 5 qualified position with that 3:81.7.
Scotty, does that mean that Falter's 368 run, does that mean that I possibly have to sing the Candyman Can song? Because he went straight to the top when I fired that off. Is that going to have to be a ritual?
Doing that. That might be something he's going to ask you to do every race.
Darn it. Hope I don't have to wear like cool looking or weird looking socks tomorrow. You know, some people wear socks. I guess now I have to sing.
You got to dress up like Willy Wonka.
I could probably pull that off.
We'll go get you a hat. Fred tonight on the right-hand side. And Steve Furr, the Red Rocket out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, the 2013 American chassis for Wright Trailers. Hoosier Tire, VP, and Mosier.
Will you please go see Bob Harris for the hat? Because I'm really digging the straw hat. Like, and it had a lot of horsepower behind it today. The Red Rocket, the multi-time world champ, Steve Furr, 385, 187 miles per hour for the 2013 American chassis that has parked in more winner's circles than just about any other dragster on the property. Fred tonight, 425. Steve Furr slides into number 8 as the elite bump continues to fall, as you see 415 on the board now.
And that'll bring up Sammy Helms, left side of the racetrack out of Locust, North Carolina, the Midland Engine Machine 2012 Horton chassis. And Max Butcher here on the right-hand side out of Doylestown, Ohio.
See, look at that. I talk about Bob's straw hat and about how the power of the straw hat. Bob texts me and goes, we found a ring gear and pinion. Thanks to whoever helped the Harris camp, and also straw hat power coming through once again for the Harris camp. Watch, there's going to be 45 straw hats here tomorrow. Everybody's going to wonder why. Sammy Helms, Maximus Butcher. Right-hand side of the racetrack, Maximus with like the greatest parents ever, Glenn and Linda. These two are like awesome. Never had a day where they were not smiling or laughing or happy to be at the racetrack. Just an all-around great family. Brand new American car for Maximus Butcher. How many times have we said brand new American car? Travis Colangelo and that bunch have been busy up there.
At the top end, 427.4 for Sammy Helms. Max is going to go through at a 440.156. Missy Goodman, left side of the racetrack out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, the Wayne's Auto Salvage 2017 American. And Tron Hargrove here on the right-hand side out of White Plains, Maryland. Bruce Hurt, the crew chief.
Goodman, let's go 008 red, Tron 9 green. Goodman first to the finish line, 4:29. Hargrove 4:49. As we continue on here in Top Dragster with the points leader, Nick Maloney.
Maloney on the left-hand side, the TT Motorsports Dan Page chassis for Pit Stop Auto and Truck and Nesbitt Racing Engines. And Jacob Nahori here on the right-hand side out of Pasadena, Maryland, the 2010 Precision chassis.
So your points leader in regular Top Dragster stages it up on the left-hand side of the racetrack from Brentwood, New Hampshire for TT Motorsports. Nick Maloney, let's go 13 red, 4:25.
Anthony Bertozzi, right-hand side of the racetrack out of Ashland, Virginia, the 2016 Race Tech for Mickey Thompson, VP, and Par Racing Engines. TJ Harper, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Harrisonburg, Virginia for Kenny's Auto Mart.
Right-hand side, let's go 20 at his first PDRA competition event, 391, 183 miles per hour for the multi-time NHRA World Champion. Anthony Bertozzi slides in at number 12 here on Thursday night.
Top 12 drivers all in the 3-second zone, and here comes another player, left-hand side of the racetrack. That's Larry Roberts for the Roberts Equipment and Repair 2016 Race Tech out of Lawrence, South Carolina, and Chaz Silence here on the right-hand side out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, the Silence Service Center 2021 Race Tech.
Chaz and Dwayne are like the coolest family ever. Like nothing phases them. They're just ice cold behind the wheel as well. Never really see either one of them get rattled in high pressure situations. Chaz staged it up in a number of big money bracket races at the end of last year and turned on a lot of win lights. Larry Roberts, a past world champion here at the PDRA. Scotty, Chaz is in. Larry, second to stage.
Like Larry two-steps it over there. Still goes to 397 with a 6 at 189. Letting go to be 005. Puts him in the number 13 qualifying position.
Larry definitely two-stepped it right there. He was 106 to the short time, and Chaz Silence goes 425 and was 103. So Larry definitely left some on the table right there, but at the same time, the 397 puts him into the field solidly for Thursday evening.
Final car in qualifying here this evening, Michael White out of Arden, North Carolina. Par-powered CNC Chemical 2015 Maddox chassis. .384.9 at 186. Move Michael White into the number 8 position. So now your top 14 all in the 3-second zone. Rodney Pryor is your number 16 qualifier currently. We had a 4:10 with a 3.
Scotty Gord, for a Thursday night here at Maryland International Raceway, that is all. Royce has walked in and told us to shut up. There's no more race cars going down the racetrack, so it's time to go to bed.
So that will conclude today's on-track activities. Don't forget, Gary Oak